Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Infinite Shadow Split. Chapter 46. Tang Gao saw the other party's expression, his mood relaxed faintly, knowing that he had passed the test, and his smile naturally rose. Thank you for the general's praise, it's not too late to wait for the end of the sparring activity. General Liu took his hand and sat aside, like a kind elder, laughing haha. Okay, the sparring continues, and after pausing the sparring practice for a few minutes, you have brought everyone a big surprise. General Liu's eyes were smiling, but his heart was puzzled. He was nervous from when I looked at the tiger's mouth, not like he was afraid of being seen, but more like he was afraid that he would learn something secret. Why did this kid's emotions relax after seeing his natural expression? What was he wary of? Unless he knows who I'm looking at. Is it the intelligence revealed by Yanagi Shoshin? Or did Yanagi Shoshin's son say it? It can't be Liu Shoshin. He has always been tight-lipped about the case and will not speak lightly. That is Liu Shoshin's son, who inadvertently revealed some unimportant information. Or is he connected to these few things? General Liu put the undrunk spirit tea on the table in front of Tang Gao and said kindly, "You and Liu Ren should have a very good relationship. I see my relatives as brothers." Tang Gao smiled a lot more naturally, and sat on the chair. I have a good relationship with him, he still copies my homework every morning. However, Xiao Ren is not very good at one point, too talkative, and too social. He also dragged me to the commercial street square this morning and praised the alchemist boss, and took several bottles of pills at the cost price. I dropped the sky, don't you know, he is really thick-skinned, and he praises the boss of the people so much. At the mention of Liu Ren, Tang Gao's words were obviously excited. The smile on General Liu's face really cut a lot, and he patted Tang Gao's shoulder. Very good, very good. Quote. It seems that the intelligence was leaked by Liu Ren. Liu Ren, this kid knows the importance and will not easily say important information. But it can't stand that Tang Gao is a smart person and can guess many things. Of course, the relationship between these two guys is also really good. General Liu listened to Tang Gao's nagging with a smile, while asking his subordinates to arrange for the couplet activity to continue. When you go back, tell Moriyama about this, so that the child will not fall into the pit in the future. After a few beatings, it is estimated that it will be a long memory. Liu Ren, who was silently squatting in the shade of the tree, inexplicably shivered, always feeling as if he was about to be beaten again in the dark. General Liu took a sip of the newly handed tea on the side, and smiled. Xiao Gao, I heard that the matter of the Clover Group has been very lively recently. What do you think about this matter? Tang Gao's eyes changed slightly in an instant, but they covered up at an extremely fast speed, maintaining a natural attitude. It is not a pity for the Clover Group to die, this vicious monopoly should be driven out of Liangcheng. General Liu nodded praisefully. Good boy, it's rare to have this correct cognition. Quote. Either the Shadow Man, or the violent messenger of justice, or the mysterious power, or the matter of the refinery. I just don't know who Tang Gao is connected with. Liu Da put his left hand on the table, put his right hand under the table and pinched his fingers, laughing and chatting with Tang Gao. The sky is dim and obscure. Ordinary cultivators don't have this luck treatment. Not a shadow person, the heavenly machine is broken and there is no contact. Not a violent messenger of justice, he himself was not involved. Not a refinery, he stayed at home that day. He himself had no connection with all three. The heavenly machine calculated in the direction of mysterious power, faintly guided, but in the end it all failed. The direction I guessed was valuable, but it must have been unsettled in the end. The look under General Liu's eyes was dark and turbulent. Whether the mysterious power intervened, or whether this son was deeply involved, I can't tell. General Liu pinched halfway, moved wisely, changed an algorithm, and reduced the requirements for this calculation. The fall of the Clover Group is closely linked to this sun, but the luck of the next one returns to the point of obscurity. But it is worth mentioning that consulting this sun on the issue of the Clover Group will be very rewarding. A first-order cultivator would definitely not be able to become the core factor in bringing down the Clover Group. It can only mean that this sun has something to do with the suspected eighth-order mysterious power that has never appeared directly. Kind of interesting. That mysterious powerhouse wants to take this opportunity to take the Clover Group down. General Liu thought a lot about this, and on the surface, he kept laughing and chatting with Tang Gao. Tang Gao smiled on the surface, feeling strange in his heart. always feeling that the other party faintly noticed something, but what he detected was definitely not right. Because the eyes are not right. General Liu, what do you think of the Clover Group? General Liu put down the spirit tea and said lightly with a smile, if it is destroyed, this kind of vicious monopoly enterprise is not worthy of staying in Liangcheng. The only headache is that this is just a division, and his headquarters is a bit difficult. Tang Gao nodded approvingly. I think it's also. However, I believe that this vicious enterprise will definitely be overthrown by the people. General Liu smiled even better and raised his teacup. There is an opinion. Quote, do you want to turn this matter into the crowd and hide yourself to subtly achieve the desired effect? Combined with the previous events, General Liu instantly saw the context of this matter clearly. Are you plotting bigger, or do you want to take the opportunity to plan another power? General Liu didn't know about this, but he knew what direction things were going next. General Liu smiled even wider, knowing that this matter would definitely have a good result in the end, and chatted with Tang Gao. If you are interested, I can send you to Qingkai and send you to my master's door. Tang Gao was slightly surprised, and looked at Tian Cheng on the side. Master. Tian Cheng smiled and waved his hand. I am his enlightenment teacher. I just lit his cultivation flame, and he subsequently studied in Qingkai Academy and worshipped under the 8th Order Wind and Fire Dual System power. That powerful man who is famous in the battle chi department, with a lot of wealth and hundreds of millions, with hundreds of millions of people, unparalleled wealth. Tang Gao was surprised. Is this great power very talented? Teacher. Tian Cheng and Senior Liu Zhengguo looked at each other, and then shook their heads in unison. Talent. If you refer to the talent for mischief, he must be a genius among geniuses. Tang Gao looked confused. Isn't it what you said is very talented? Did I hear you wrong? Teacher. Tian Cheng hesitated for a while, looked at Liu Zhengguo, and motioned for his beloved disciple to say that it was indeed a little inappropriate for an outsider to say this. Liu Zhengguo pondered for a moment and said seriously, it's not a talented talent, it's a wealth of wealth, he is richer. Tang Gao's eyes lit up. Rich. How is it a rich law? Liu Zhengguo sighed. Before I joined, I had 2 magic weapons, a sword, and a heart protection goggle on my body. After worshipping the door, Master he arranged for me a complete set of top-grade magic tools of the same rank, the kind from head to toe. After that, every time I raised the first level, the magic weapon was updated. Until I was in the 6th order, the magic weapon was arranged for me by which master? Tang Gao gasped madly. Terrifying. Quote, Chapter 47. Originally, Tang Gao was a little concerned about his choice being slightly interfered with. But the other party is too rich. What is the concept of a 6th order top-grade complete set of magic weapons? The struggle of 3 generations of 6th order cultivators. Liu Zhengguo carefully reminded again. The Xuanjian grade battle chi system technique that you cultivated was given to your junior disciple by which Master Venerable was given to your junior disciple back then. It is precisely because of this exercise, although the junior brother has mediocre qualifications, he can sit firmly in the Guardian Bureau after returning, and that exercise is indispensable. Tang Gao stood in awe and sat up straight. General, please be sure to introduce me to which master? Quote. Fiercely moved, Tang Gao hurriedly asked again, is the threshold high? If it's not high, I can think of a way. General Liu laughed. For a genius like you, the threshold must be very low. Rest assured, Master Venerable never looks at his family situation and background, because our family situation and background are not as strong as his. Tang Gao tactically leaned back and gasped, terrible. Quote. Is that another way of saying money? Dating never looks at whether others have money, the main thing is that others are not rich. Damn it, so envious. Tears of jealousy are almost dripping from the corners of the mouth. I envy the foundation of this 8th order big guy too much. I want to be such a big guy too. General Liu smiled hee. Okay, don't be in a hurry. When the college entrance examination is over, when the time comes, I will personally take you and Shaoran to Qingkai and introduce you to which master. Tang Gao's eyes lit up. Good. Teacher Tian Cheng smiled on the side. Don't patronize Xiao Gao, preside over the sparring activity. General Liu had to turn his head and smile. Well, this is not the rise of talent. How many years have passed, and a great talent has been born in our poor place. Tang Gao smiled kindly, still a little uncomfortable in his heart, although a long, long time has passed in this perspective of his own, but the time of the main world has only passed a few days, and this change in identity is a little fast. General Lu pointed to the number 2 martial arts training ground, with a gentle smile. Come, our great genius, you see, that is the level of a normal genius, but not everyone is like you, attacking and killing cultivators who are stronger than yourself with their bare hands, and they can still save their lives. Tang Gao looked in the direction he pointed and frowned subconsciously. It's too tender. Quote. It's so naive, it's full of flaws, and you can get pierced in the throat or smashed in the chest at any moment. Not to mention standing in front of himself, or standing in front of the captain of the guard in the case of the Blood Fury servant, he couldn't live for a second. General Lu smiled. Hee. You are looking at it from the perspective of fighting for your life, but for these students, this is already the most extreme they can do. Tang Gao was stunned, only then remembered that he was not fighting, but in the exam. A layer of sweat appeared on his forehead, and he realized why he was always easy to be seen by these big guys before. This knee-jerk habit is indeed very difficult to change. From words and deeds, even where his eyes looked, he could tell if he was a cultivator who came out of the pile of dead people. Tang Gao respectfully surrendered his hand. Thank you, General Lu, for reminding me that I will disguise better in the future. General Lu took a sip of tea and said with a smile, Genius, it has never been a problem. It is very normal to have secrets, as long as you stand from the standpoint of the people, from the standpoint of the Terrans, and from the standpoint of our Liangcheng. Any problem is not a problem. Little one, don't be afraid to show your edge. The more dazzling you are, the more attention and resources you get. Everyone has this kind of thing secret, the difference is just more and less. Tang Gao thought thoughtfully. Okay, I understand, I will behave well. Quote. Also, the higher you go, the more likely you are to encounter a genius, and these excellent things you show will be what they should be. Only geniuses can become more powerful cultivators. Genius is the ticket to the mighty. Tang Gao smiled, and his attitude became more relaxed and natural. General, then if I show better, can I get more rewards? General Lu smiled gratifyingly. Of course, we created such a good environment just to cultivate a genius like you. Okay, then how about Chinkai's cultivation resources for the genius of the alchemist? General Lu thought back, tapped his fingers on the table, and chuckled. I haven't understood this piece for a long time, but with the habit of Chinkai, in the face of such a rare genius, it has always been inclined to cultivate a lot of resources. How, do you know such friends? If this can persuade Lai Chinkai, it will be indispensable to give you a reward at that time. Tang Gao's eyes changed slightly, and the words that were about to come to his mouth turned around, and he changed his sentence. I don't know, but I will order alchemy. Quote. At that time, you can let the alchemist doppelganger also join Chinkai, and you can also rely on the blessing of alchemy to get more resources. Isn't that equivalent to double the resources of support? Refreshing. General Lu laughed. Haha. Good boy, it's good to be self-motivated, but greed is not easy to chew. At your age, it is already very rare to be able to do one or two well. Tang Gao smiled, but instead fused the alchemist doppelganger, stretched out his hand, and revealed a fire. The gentle and full red fire rolled in Tang Gao's hand, turning into various small animals as he wished, and the color of the flame would change with the transformation of the flame animal, looking lifelike, like a miniature version of the flame animal rushing in the palm of his hand. Teacher Tian Chang was directly choked by the tea, and hurriedly turned his head and sprayed it on the principal's face. The principal hurriedly wiped his face, hurriedly glared at Tang Gao's palm, looked at the red flame elk, the blue flame lizard, the gray flame mantis, the cyan flame hound. Waiting in the palm of his hand, jumping and galloping. What is this? Quote. No, I've seen alchemists, I've also seen alchemy, how do you practice this? General Lu shook his hand, and the high-grade teacup in his hand turned into powder on the spot, and his pupils looked at Tang Gao's palm with a shock. Fire control technique. Ling. Tea splashed down from the palm of his hand, all spilled on his pants. The surface of the pants flashed with a shimmer, and all the spirit tea water slid down his pants to the ground. General Lu stood up in shock and shouted in a lost voice, Fire control technique. Quote. This Nima is a fire control technique. The compulsory branch of alchemy, fire control. The other commanders and teachers on the command platform were attracted by the shocked General Lu, and then saw the flame animals dancing on Tang Gao's hands, and they were dumbfounded. Eileen, how is this possible? Groove, I'm up today. Saw a high-level fire control technique. Tang Gao looked at them confused. Isn't this a very basic alchemy fire control technique? Quote. I'm showing a bit of a technical content, but it's not very difficult, right? The corners of General Lu's mouth twitched. When you say this, just tell you, the first order second and the second order are normal, and it is too much to change the third order hard. Quote. Chapter 48. Tang Gagan was stunned. This is very easy, not very difficult, why are you so shocked, everyone should know this trick. Quote. Isn't this alchemist common sense? The corners of General Lu's mouth twitched terribly, and he had to patiently explain to this genius who lacked worldly common sense. General fire control techniques, it is like this. General Lu summoned a flame, a normal red flame used to refine elixirs. General Lu looked at the flame animal in Tang Gao's hand, but he couldn't help but gasp and continued to explain. To do this, you need a talent for alchemy, you also need to master alchemy, fire control, and a little fire spiritual root. Out of 1,000 unrefined alchemists, about half of them could do this. Tang Gao nodded. Yes, it's very simple, I really don't understand what you guys are shocking. General Lu began to raise the temperature of the flame, changing the color of the flame, and said with a toothache, the one who can do this step is a second-order alchemist. Tang Gao was silent for a moment, looking at the vivid flames in his hand with ever-changing colors, and vaguely understood why they were shocked. Sorry, I thought everyone would. General Lu began to use flames to mimic animals, most of which were more powerful, and not very spiritual as Tang Gao. General Lu was silent for a moment and explained, this is the extent that a third-order alchemist can only do. And my spirituality is not as good as yours, and my color is not as changeable as yours, where are you practicing alchemy? Quote. Yes, theoretically, it is normal for alchemists to master this. But you are normal, targeting a fourth-order alchemist. Why are the standards you subconsciously benchmark so high? The first order is to kill the third order as the normal level, and the fire control technique mastered must be aligned with the fourth-order alchemist. What kind of monster thinking is this? The corner of Tang Gao's mouth twitched. Isn't the information of Clover Group public? General Lu was stunned. There is this matter, what does this have to do with your alchemy? I saw it on the internet, so I practiced it without much energy. There was a dead silence on the podium. General Lu's big eyes were full of doubt. Huh. Quote. What do you mean to learn to go online? Do you know how many alchemists have been killed by powerful ears and failed to graduate? Teacher Tian Cheng looked at him with a confused expression. Huh. Quote. What do you mean by practicing with your hands? Your casual practice, fire control level is comparable to a fourth-order alchemist. The principal looked at him dumbfounded. It didn't take much effort. Quote. Do you know if you don't care about the achievements that you don't spend much energy on, how many alchemy geniuses have a lifetime of luxury? Is this called something that didn't take much effort to do? The chiefs and teachers looked at Tang Gao in confusion. Tang Gao was a little uncomfortable by them, and said embarrassedly, I didn't teach alchemy in high school, I taught it myself, I thought that everyone could learn it casually to this extent. General Lu looked at Tang Gao speechlessly. Yes, everyone can practice casually, and you can kill the third order in one order. Tang Gao's toothache was momentary, and then he remembered one thing. His alchemy technique was personally praised by the fifth order wood elder Fang Fang, a big man in the industry. Own has a 105% increase in all attributes. I have plus 150% alchemy speed, plus 100% pill effect, plus 60% success rate of alchemy, plus 100% of the number of pills, plus. The alchemist avatar himself also cultivated a lot of alchemy skill blessings. With so many blessings, even the simplest fire control has long been increased to a very terrifying point. Not to mention, the alchemy technique he learned is still a special version within the Clover Group. Purely talking about alchemy, this is the same as fighting, he is completely on the same level, and even far exceeds the second, third, or even fourth order in some fields. Tang Gao held the flame animal in his hand and said with a slight embarrassment, I'm sorry, I thought it was very simple. Quote. Patronizing the effort, I have long forgotten that these are not simple for others. When I work hard, I still have time to think about this and that, and I only think about how to do this well. General Lu covered his chest, feeling that he had a heart attack, stretched out his hand to stop his words, and looked painful. Enough, don't say it. Quote. Is this a super genius? What was I doing when I was 18? I'm still figuring out a way to get up the tree and dig out the bird's nest. Martial fighting is already so strong, how can refining pills be so outrageous? General Liu was fiercely envious. Is this the benefit of talent? Tian Cheng's head teacher hurriedly said, Zhangguo, I suggest that it is best to take him under the door of His Holiness first. General Liu immediately nodded, and his face changed slightly. Yes, first worship the door, and then go through the escort process. Tang Gao was dumbfounded. No, I don't have to take the college entrance examination. Quote. You let me take the college entrance examination. I've been working hard for 4 days, and you won't let me show off. No matter how I say it, I am also a young man, and I really feel bad if you don't let me stand out in such a big matter. General Liu stood up, ignored Tang Gao's words, and quickly waved his hand. Prepare the Dharma array, I'll go and ask which master first. Tang Gao. Quote. Am I overdoing this? Soon, Tang Gao was taken to the highest command room of the base, and the center of the command room had been cleaned up and a high-grade formation was arranged, which was a thing that ordinary people could not use. Tang Gao sat on the side, watching them busy cleaning up the formation, and had some regret. It's a pity, I haven't finished watching the sparring activities. General Liu stood on the side and personally wrote the spatial ciphertext on the formation plate, without turning his head. You kid is so strong, what are you going to see those little tender vegetables pecking at each other? Tang Gao laughed and laughed. General Liu, don't you have the intention to show off? General Liu put the formation plate in the center of the formation, let the others scatter, and moved slightly. When I was young, my mind was very heavy, and when I showed more in the back, I got tired of it and stopped engaging in that kind of thing. By the way, because I am very crotch-pulling, the image will be very blurry and the voice will change in tone later, so you can make do with it. Tang Gao smacked his lips. Why don't you use your mobile phone? Now video calls are very high definition. General Liu couldn't help but start the formation. Such a big secret, you use a public network. Generally, when encountering major events, we use internal special formations to connect. Soon, a very vague, mosaic-composed red figure appeared in the center of the formation, blurred as if the 800-degree myopic eye took off its glasses and looked at the world with the naked eye. The sound was very strange at first, not like the strange screams that humans can make. General Liu's face was slightly embarrassed, and he motioned for the others to leave, and he personally adjusted the formation, and after a while, the voice could barely be heard, but he couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman, it could only be said to be a human voice. Quote. Hey, can you hear clearly? General Liu hurriedly responded. I can hear it clearly, Master, I can hear it clearly. The red figure moved, and seemed to be sitting on a chair and changing its posture, and his voice hated iron and steel. After so many years, can you use some brains to learn it? Every time I use this effect comparable to 1G network communication to play formation video with me, it is simply a hellish torture of light pollution and sound pollution advanced hybrid breeding. If this is placed in public, you will be arrested by the Bureau of Justice to participate in a book that insults the cultivators. Tang Gao was stunned. He didn't expect that General Liu's master was actually such an aggressive person. General Liu looked relieved. Hearing this smell of your mouth, Master, I know that Master Venerable you will definitely be a scourge for 10,000 years, and live more spiritually than Wang Beg, apprentice. I am very relieved. Quote. Very good, very spirited, it seems that Master Venerable has been living very moisturized recently. The red figure sighed twice, waving his heavy mosaic-like arm. If there is something to say quickly, there is a fart to release quickly, I will go fishing later. Master, I have to say something later, don't be surprised. The red figure looked up to the sky and laughed, patting the armrest. Joke, I have lived for hundreds of years, and I have never seen anything. Of course, I'd be surprised if you told me you had been bedwetting and urinating frequently last night. Maybe I have to send you a set of dragon and tiger essence pills. Oh, and a pair of pants that don't get wet. Quote. Chapter 49. What, 18 years old will this technique? The fire control technique has also been exercised to the point of pure fire. The red figure shouted in disbelief, and his face must have been confused. The red figure was so envious that he scolded the street. This kid's mother is an alchemy furnace, so good at alchemy. General Lu looked embarrassed and pointed to the side. Master, the Lord is next to me, the people are still babies, you are civilized. The red figure was silent for a moment, the mosaic on his head turned for a long time, and his voice was particularly depressed. This black and white mosaic is a person. I thought you had a panda kettle. Really, you turn around and quickly learn your formation in a whole way. It's really not that I dislike it, the blind can repeat the light when they see it. General Lu had a headache and couldn't help but complain. Master, just say how to handle this matter, don't hold on to my formation science anymore. The red figure waved his hand. You quickly get out of the way, let the people stand in the middle, you old fritters are light. Ahem, civilized civilization, what, kid, you stand in the middle. General Lu wordlessly let go and let Tang Gao stand over. The red figure shook his head for a while, and two thick mosaics with big heads appeared on his shoulders, and he couldn't help but sigh. I can't see clearly when I open 3 heads and 6 arms, really, don't look back, dispose of this matter later, you will bring me the formation compulsory cultivation now, I will teach you how to repair it myself. I really can't stand your blind spell, this is not processed and released, pure illusion curse. General Lu let out a long sigh, his face was gloomy, and after many years, he once again remembered the fear of being dominated by the compulsory cultivation of the formation. How many years have I graduated from this, why are I still holding on? After the red figure scolded the apprentice, the 3 thick mosaic heads looked at it for a long time, helplessly defeated under the apprentice's crotch-pulling spell. Okay, little one, I can't see anything clearly, but my disciple brother's judgment, what is the following when you worship my door? Tang Gao bowed his hand and said respectfully, you are very rich. The red figure giggled, and 3 heavy mosaic heads dangled around. Interesting and interesting, young man, you are very interesting, I am very optimistic about you. Okay, you can let the stupid dog next to you arrange a space teleportation formation for you tomorrow, and then you can simply walk a worship teacher. Tang Gao hesitated for a moment and said, Your Holiness, I want to take the college entrance examination, this is a part of my life, I want to go through it on my own. The red figure wondered for a while, what? What is the difference between your end and killing pigs? It's strange for children to think. Quote, you dare to change the life of the First Order for the Third Order, and no matter how strong those little rookies are, it is impossible to adjust their mentality and strength to your point. Tang Gao remembered the experience of Noisy at the same table pulling himself every day, and he snorted twice, and couldn't help laughing, because I have to spend time making up lessons for my buddy, he has a crotch-pulling literary test, time is precious, I can't waste this precious time. The red figure laughed loudly and slapped the handrail several times in a row. Good, good, righteous enough. I'm right. Grant you the right to come back after the college entrance examination. General Lu hurriedly added. Master, you have to quickly settle down and prepare the quota in advance, but don't let others rob it. The red figure raised 3 heavy mosaic arms, patted the heads of 3 heavy mosaics, and shook his head. I almost forgot this stubble, I haven't enrolled in person for many years, this set is almost forgotten, young man, you wait a while. Tang Gao stood in place suspiciously, waiting for the red figure to turn things over. Soon, the red figure turned to a book, turning the pages in uproar. The red figure turned to one of the pages and suddenly realized, it turns out that the admissions process is like this. Forget it, it's too troublesome, I'll find an unlucky egg for me to do this kinda broken thing. Young man, if you encounter any trouble during this time, I will teach you an edict, and when the time comes, you can directly use this to directly summon my avatar, doppelganger, distraction, and even the body. Generally, when you encounter a big problem, you can change it directly in the edict and let me know that you are shaking me personally. Tang Gao looked confused. What edict? The red figure cleared his throat. Ahem, first of all, which edict do you want to read, and then directly say that you need to summon my avatar, doppelganger, distraction or ontology. By the way, you asked me this stupid apprentice to ask for an edict manual, and when you encounter a situation, you will know that the doppelganger who summoned me is easier to solve the problem. Of course, if you don't know who to summon, you can directly say what problem you encountered, and my avatar will automatically deal with it, and there will usually be a solution in no more than 3 seconds. However, this requires you to hold on for 3 seconds, as long as you don't hang up within 3 seconds, the person you shake will be there immediately. Tang Gao looked confused. Huh. Quote, Why is there a strong shaking taste in your mouth when something so high-end is such a high-end thing? The red figure was particularly proud, patting his chest. Let me tell you, the problem below the 8th order, you shout a throat edict, hula a doppelganger can come to you to support the field. If you have problems within the 8th order, I can also beat a large number of people, and I can also keep you when I encounter the 9th order. Of course, if you provoke the 10th order, I don't know you. Tang Gao cried and laughed. Well, thank you, Your Holiness. The red figure said proudly. Hee, is it still called His Holiness? You go back and give me the data. I'll ask someone to customize a set of first-order magic weapons for you and send it over. The second-order one is too burdensome for you, you use the first-order one first. After you are promoted, I will arrange a second-order suit for you. Tang Gao was grateful, and his voice was loud. Thank you, teacher. Quote. Woohoo. He was so sincere I couldn't refuse. General Liu, you were right. The teacher is really a neighbor with hundreds of millions, a lot of wealth, and unparalleled wealth. Such a teacher who protects the calf and has money is simply a beacon of my life. General Liu breathed a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on his face. Okay, this matter is done, boy, this thing is a great prestige. At your stage, there is nothing that cannot be solved by an edict. If so, another one. But anyone with discernment, who hears which edict begins with your edict, kneels and begs for mercy faster than you can pronounce the next word. Tang Gao was moved. This is not considered the opening 8th order. Big guy covered me. Good. When I finish the college entrance examination, I will definitely give the teacher the whole worship banquet. General Liu laughed and smiled brightly. Very good, very good. The red figure also smiled. Okay, this matter is over. Little one, you go out first, I will make up for the apprentice. General Liu's laughter stopped abruptly, and the smile on his face instantly disappeared and shifted to Tang Gao's face. Tang Gao tried hard to hold back his smile, and the heroic warrior who was majestic to the outside world was actually so miserable in front of Shi Venerable. Okay, I'll continue to watch the activities. General Liu, you cheer up the class. General Liu laughed dryly, and could only watch Tang Gao leave, looking at which Venerable One was very helpless. Teacher, it doesn't have to be like this. The 3 heads of the red figure carefully confirmed, and found that the panda warm kettle in the picture had confirmed leaving the command room, and cursed. Your Pobi formation thesis back then not only did not have the slightest competitiveness in the world of immortal cultivation, but also made me discredited in the education world. I get angry as soon as I think about it. After so many years, your formation is still pulling like this. I want to call 120 and call an ambulance to check your brain, and every time I encounter something, I have to feel light pollution and sound pollution. It's not you who is suffering together, is it? General Liu turned his head to confirm that Tang Gao left, and immediately waved his hand to cast a spell to seal the place. His face became serious. Master, there is something wrong with this kid, I need to trouble you to investigate. Which Venerable smiled. Hee. Mad, why didn't you say when you came in? Stick with you kid and stuff me with mines, huh? I didn't want to be hit by good things, and I threw a hot potato into my arms. You really filial to me. General Liu was speechless. Master, am I such a bad person? This little guy is too involved in the heavenly machine, I can't figure it out. Which Venerable directly laughed angrily. Your Po is a little better than the algorithm, and it is the penultimate achievement that has discredited me in the education world. It's weird that you can count things. General Liu was speechless, told the master in detail the ins and outs of the matter, and sent the relevant data. After reading the data, His Holiness did not forget to mock, and the 6 arms began to pinch his fingers. Look good, study hard, see how I show the operation, rookie dog. General Liu sighed twice and patiently waited for the results of the divination heavenly machine. After a minute, which Venerable is still counting. General Liu was slightly puzzled. With the level of the 8th order of Master Venerable, is this difficult to calculate? After 3 minutes, which Venerable is still counting. General Liu's face became slightly solemn. It seemed that another 8th order great power involved was proficient in anti-divination calculation, and could cover the relevant heavenly machines and chi luck, which was also normal. After 10 minutes, all 6 of His Holiness' palms were about to burst into flames, and his fingers seemed to have a sense of impact fighting with each other. The corners of General Liu's mouth twitched, feeling that he had something big. Half an hour later, His Holiness stopped pinching his fingers and fell into serious self-doubt. It's unreasonable, it's impossible, how can it all fail? Quote. Why can't this be the heavenly machine? Why are all the answers empty on this day? What went wrong with my algorithm? Is it the separator I missed a finger pinch? General Lu wiped the beads of sweat on his forehead. Master, what should I do now? Which Venerable was silent for a moment, and his 6 arms directly danced wildly. I am not convinced. You asked him to see me after the college entrance examination. Quote. If there is no way to cultivate immortals, it is only a matter of time. Chapter 50. After which Venerable went crazy. He cautiously calculated the lifeline of himself and his beloved disciple, and found that it was smooth and powerful, and did not stop abruptly. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. Very good. My little life and yours are not in danger, but you can contact Xiao Gao. Immortal cultivation. The main thing is to be bold and careful, so as not to come into contact with something that should not be touched, and walk in a storm. Oh, literally go through the wind, the kind of wind and fire that cremation has saved. General Lu's heart was lowered. It's good that there is no danger. I'm afraid that there is a 9th order powerhouse or even a 10th order sage standing behind him. Which Venerable sneered. 9th order. 10th order. Do you dream? If this kind of character wants to solve the Clover group, he still needs to plan. He only needs to show that he is not very satisfied with the pill industry recently, and the entire industry has to be reviewed and comprehensively planned. Quote. This is really a one-sentence kung fu for the 9th order and 10th order bigwigs. In order to be able to have their names appear in the dialogue of the sage, the people below will naturally do their best to do something. A Clover group is a fart. After His Holiness finished speaking, he became puzzled again. However, I can't count the person standing behind him, which is strange. If there is no powerful shot, his fate line will not change so much in just 1 week. General Lu nodded. I can't calculate it either. Well, what within a week? Master, I didn't hear clearly. Which? Venerable was speechless, so he had to cast a spell with 6 arms to temporarily enhance the picture quality and sound. A young man with a ball hairstyle, wearing a red cool shirt, 3 heads and 6 arms sitting on the lotus throne, 6 arms pinching the magic technique, looking at his beloved disciple dissatisfied. Really, if you don't get the formation study up, sooner or later I will let the avatar screw your head off. Your Pabi spell is the most depleting spell I've ever seen. It's not that the power can't use your shit-like encryption spell. General Lu laughed dryly. Master, this thesis is considered to be over, isn't it? Which Venerable said angrily. Yes, it's not that the power can't be used, it's not that the power can't be detected, it's not that the power can't be translated. It's simply the ultimate spell in a fool's den. If you don't have to pass the graduation standard, I don't want to hang my name on it. Quote. This stupid spell is really the best of the best, which Venerable has never imagined that someone would actually rely on this stupid fork operation to get a paper, and finally run outrageously. Which Venerable habitually finished scolding his beloved disciples and repeated it again. General Lu looked at Master Venerable dryly. What do you mean within a week? His Holiness was surprised. A week ago, he was still immortal, but now, the chi luck in his body fluctuates endlessly, and the luck of countless people seems to be integrated into all living beings, and it seems that he is not a person and he is extremely strange. This makes His Holiness affirm that there must be power behind it. Not enough, but you can't do that. General Lu gasped. Terrifying. Quote. I thought it was a terrifying genius, but I didn't expect it to be within a week. How did this happen? After listening to the information, General Lu couldn't help but think about it with reverse thinking and deduced. Master, is there a possibility there is no power behind him? He himself is a person with very peculiar luck, a kind of eccentricity. Quote. It's not that it's not nothing, it's really rare. Which Venerable clasped the cheek of the middle head with one free hand, and looked confused. Then there are 3 situations now. First, he is a once-in-a-millennium geek, just like Huang Liang's dream, with a talent that can change the world in a day. Otherwise, it would not explain the drastic changes in him every day of the week. Second, behind him stood a great power that I could not even calculate, and he really did not touch, but he was faintly aware of it, which is why he became so cautious. Fools can know that they have changed so much in a week, and it must be due to organic reasons. Third, there is a great power standing behind him, and there has been definite contact. But this power is stronger than me, and he is planning something to raise this child. General Lu nodded in agreement. Indeed, this child's original talent is not good, but the heart of seeking the Tao is indeed excellent. This is a very valuable genius. Talent, this kind of thing can be made up by the day after tomorrow, and the heart of seeking the Tao cannot be easily supplemented. Which Venerable looked at the page in front of him, which was all the information of Tang Gao, and the page was windless. Indeed, if it is to cultivate disciples, it will work. General Lu was slightly puzzled. What about the situation similar to Huang Liang's dream? What do you think, Master? Which Venerable One laughed. Every day a dream. I see you're dreaming. Do you know that Huang Liang's one-time magic weapon is something that a multi-order refining master can do? Quote. The magic weapon of Huang Liang's dream does exist. However, this treasure is a disposable magic weapon, which will be broken when it is used up, and if it is broken, it will be one less, and it will not be able to be refined for many years. What kind of dream do you have every day? General Lu smiled awkwardly. This is true, with this child's background, it is impossible to support this spell model. His Holiness carefully calculated the heavenly machine again, and after finding that there was nothing missing, he stopped the calculation and instructed. This son's heart for seeking the path is excellent, no matter if he knows that there is great power behind it, he can cultivate it well, maybe he can add another great power to my human race. Quote. The number of Terran powers is large, but in the vast world, no race will dislike the number of their own powers. General Lu nodded and handed over his hand. Okay, obey the order. His Holiness paused, and then couldn't help but order. As long as he doesn't betray the Terrans, you must do your best to cultivate. Now the time of peace is hard to come by, don't miss it. When we meet other geniuses, we must not skimp on the price. In the future we just want to spend the price. I am afraid that there will not be such a sufficient time for peace as now. General Lu's face changed slightly. Master, could it be that something happened? His Holiness looked more solemn on the 16-year-old boy's young face. You also know that the whole society is very curly now, right? General Lu nodded, his face puzzled. Indeed, logically speaking, cultivators have extremely strong productivity, and there is no need to implicate the entire mortal society, but now even the entire mortal world is not involved. It is indeed too strange. And we clearly won the war, were the victorious side, received rich compensation, but now. But it was like desperately fleeing the famine, for fear of starving to death. General Lu's eyes became solemn. He paused, and said, it's like preparing for a new Terran war. Quote. It's weird, shouldn't it be a prosperous age after winning a war? The resources of the cultivators were too many to be used up, but now the entire immortal cultivation world and human society were not being involved. Many cultivators tried their best to monopolize resources, for fear that their hearts would be enough to withstand the hard devil tribulation. It is too urgent to achieve quick results. This is not a small number of people, but the whole society is permeated with such an atmosphere. There will indeed be huge profits in a short period of time, and when the cycle closes, this will be the end of civilization. Even if it is not a doomsday disaster, at least it will greatly hurt the vitality of civilization. Which Venerable said with a solemn face. 4 of the 5 human emperors are going to die, and the remaining human emperor was assassinated not long ago and was seriously injured. General Lu's face was extremely stunned, and he couldn't believe it. How is this possible? Which Venerable sighed. After winning the war, losing the foundation, the Terran race is about to come to the time of transformation. At this time, the green and yellow are not connected, it is the most prone to problems, and it is also the most necessary to cultivate the power of the new era to stabilize the situation and try to let us spend the next peaceful time. Quote. The price of war is too heavy. These heroic emperors are about to reach the end of their lives, which will cause turmoil in human society. The air fell silent, and the stunned look on General Lu's face was constantly fermenting. His Holiness added in a solemn tone, even if you die a little less, you can spend it. The above has begun to strictly investigate the monopoly enterprises, rectify internal problems, and prepare for the next impact. Quote. The Clover Group will definitely be strictly investigated. This is the direction of the wind. No matter what Tang Gao thought, he made the most favorable choice in the direction of the wind in the haze. In the conversation with General Lu, Dark and Tianji found luck for himself. The Clover Group must be overthrown. This is the foregone conclusion. It can be the people, or it can be the heroes pushed up by the people. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.